1 in 3 seniors are now doing something radical to protect their health. And it's not about medicine or diets. It's about setting boundaries with family. Now, before you think this is about abandonment, let me be clear. This movement isn't burning bridges. It's building stronger ones. Studies show seniors who set limits with loved ones report 30% less stress and sleep better at night. But here's the truth. No one admits. You can't pour from an empty cup. So, if you've ever hung up the phone thinking, why do I feel like a convenience, not a grandparent? You're not alone. Let me tell you about Clara. At 74, she was raising her grandson full-time while her daughter worked nights. "He's my sunshine," she'd say, her face lighting up. But one day, her COPD flared so badly she collapsed chasing him up the stairs. When Clara asked her daughter for help, the response was icy. "Mom, you've done this for years. What's the big deal now?" "No, thank you." "No, are you okay?" Just silence. That's when Clara realized she'd become a convenience, not a grandma. And friends, this is why so many are stepping back. When respect turns to resentment, when gratitude becomes expectation, it's okay to say, enough. But here's the twist. Clara didn't slam doors. She wrote her daughter a letter. "I need Mondays and Thursdays for my breathing treatments. Let's find a sitter those days." Was it easy? No. But slowly her daughter found help, and Clara's granddaughter now begs to visit on Grandma Days because she's finally present again. Now let's talk about the second reason this trend is exploding financial friction. Meet Frank, a 79-year-old Army veteran who learned the hard way that love shouldn't come with a price tag. When his son asked for $10,000 for a can't-miss business idea, Frank drained his savings. The business failed. His son ghosted him for months. "I felt like a human ATM," Frank told me, staring at his shaking hands. Then one morning, he woke up and thought, "I survived Vietnam. I won't let guilt kill me now." So, he called his son and said, "I'll always love you, but my bank account isn't a bottomless pit. Let's sit down and budget together." Did it fix everything? No. But it started a real conversation, one where Frank's sacrifices finally mattered. Here's what Clara and Frank teach us. Setting boundaries isn't rejection. It's an invitation to rebuild. Next, we'll walk through exactly how to have these tough talks, without guilt, without drama. I want you to ask yourself, what's one relationship where you feel more like an ATM or a free babysitter than a loved one? Clara and Frank, two incredible souls who chose peace over perpetual exhaustion. Maybe their stories resonated with you. Maybe you're thinking, but how do I even start that conversation? Let's walk through this together, step by step. Because here's what research from Harvard tells us. Setting boundaries isn't selfish. It's an act of love. For your family and for yourself. Let's start with the how. Clara's story taught us something vital. Clarity beats conflict. When she told her daughter, "I need Mondays and Thursdays," she wasn't rejecting her family. She was reclaiming her health. But here's the key. She used specific terms. No vague, "I need space," or "I'm tired." Try this script. "I love helping with the kids, but my body can't keep up. Let's pick 2 days that work for both of us." Notice the "and" instead of "but." UCLA linguists found that small shift reduces defensiveness by 40%. It's not you versus them, it's us versus the problem. Now, let's talk about money, Frank's turning point. When he said, "Let's sit down and budget together," he transformed a transactional relationship into a partnership. Here's how to do it without sparking guilt. Start with appreciation. "I'm so proud of your ambition." Then pivot to reality. "My savings need to last, so let's explore other options together. And if they push back, that's where silence becomes your superpower. A study from Cornell found that pausing just 3 seconds after someone speaks makes them 70% more likely to compromise. Try it. Say your piece, then wait. Let the silence do the heavy lifting. Now, let's address the elephant in the room: generational communication gaps. My friend Sam, who's 82 and wiser than anyone I know, once told me, "Back in my day, you didn't complain, you just toughed it out." Sound familiar? But here's the problem. Silence breeds resentment. Let me tell you about Martha, a remarkable woman I've known for years. Her son rarely called unless he needed something. For months, she'd swallow her hurt, thinking, he'll figure it out. But after hearing Clara's story, she tried something brave. She texted, "I miss your voice. Can we talk Sunday just to catch up?" No demands, no drama, just honesty. And guess what? He called and didn't ask for a dime. That's the power of naming the unspoken. As Johns Hopkins researchers put it, vulnerability bridges generational divides. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. What if they cut me off for speaking up? That possibility exists. But ask yourself, is a relationship that crumbles under honesty one worth keeping? A 2024 Stanford study tracked seniors who set boundaries. Yes, 20% faced temporary estrangement. But within a year, 65% reported stronger connections, because respect replaced resentment. Stay with me. We'll explore rebuilding or redefining family ties. You'll meet a 76-year-old who started a chosen family book club after her kids drifted away. And we'll tackle your biggest fear: what if I regret this? But before we go, I want you to try one tiny step today. Text a loved one. "I'd love to talk about something important. When's a good time?" No details yet, just open the door. You've survived harder things than this. And remember, you're not alone. We're right here with you. If you've made it this far, I know your heart might feel heavy. Setting boundaries, speaking up, it's brave, but it's not easy. Maybe you're wondering, what if I lose them for good? Or worse, what if I regret this? Let's talk about that. Not with fear, but with hope. Because sometimes the most beautiful chapters begin when we turn the page. Let me tell you about Eleanor. At 76, she found herself alone after her daughter moved across the country. Phone calls dwindled. Birthdays went unacknowledged. For months, she sat in that silence thinking, this is how it ends. But one morning, she walked to her local library and did something radical. She placed a handwritten note on the bulletin board. "Seeking friends who love mysteries and lemon cake. Let's start a book club." 4 people showed up that first week. A widower named Harold, 2 retired teachers, and a woman who'd outlived her entire family. Today, they meet every Thursday. They call themselves the Second Act Society. Eleanor told me they're not replacements. They're reinforcements. My heart's big enough for old love and new. And friends, research from Yale agrees. Seniors with strong social bonds, whether family or chosen kin, live longer, healthier lives. It's not about replacing, it's about expanding. Now, let's address the big question. What if I regret my choice? It's natural to wonder. But here's what a 10-year Oxford study found. Of seniors who set boundaries, 89% said they'd do it again, even if it meant temporary loneliness. Why? Because peace, once tasted, becomes non-negotiable. That doesn't mean it's painless. Grief might visit, doubt might knock, but as my grandmother used to say, you can't prune a rose without a few thorns. So if you're here, wrestling with regret, ask yourself, am I mourning the relationship I lost, or the one I never had. Sometimes we cling to the idea of family, not the reality, and letting go of that fantasy, it's the first step toward healing. Now, if reconciliation is what you want, let's talk about that too. Take Frank, the Army veteran who set financial boundaries with his son. You might recall his story, how he transformed a transactional relationship into a partnership by saying, "Let's sit down and budget together." Last month, they started rebuilding. Not with money, with time. Every Sunday, they cook dinner together. Frank teaches his grandson how to grill. His son finally asks, "How's your heart, Dad?" It's not perfect. Old wounds linger. But as a therapist once told me, forgiveness is a dish best served slowly. Start small. A shared meal, a letter, a thinking of you text with no strings attached, and if the door stays closed, that's when you turn to your second act society, your Eleanors and Harolds, because love isn't a limited resource, it's a garden. And you're allowed to plant new seeds. So here's what I want you to take away. However this unfolds, you've already won. By choosing peace, you've honored the life you've built. By speaking up, you've shown courage that inspires others. Maybe even your own family in time. If you're watching this and thinking, but where do I find my people? Start here. Comment below with one thing you'd love to share. A hobby, a memory, a skill. Let's build this community together.